Welcome everyone to the NoDQ review episode number 93. I am Aaron Rift, joined by hashtag Team NoDQ. Everyone's got their logos in the background. Let me introduce our moderator for the evening, Virtue. How's it going, man?
Going good. Thank you, Aaron Rift, the boss man. And we are joined once again by the elite panel of NoDQ. Myself, Greg Cherry, the Wrestling Trivia Challenge champion, and a former champion himself, the West Coast Professor, Jeff Meacham. What's up, everyone?
Good to be back. Good to be back, man.
Week.
I took the week off, just kind of. I actually got some errands done around here, which never happens around here. Chores were actually done in this house. I was flabbergasted at my own damn self. But it was a good week off, and been productive this week, and looking forward to the review as always.
Here we go. Greg
Holy
Cherry.
shit, look at the super chat already. Holy cow. Go ahead.
What's up, Greg? What's going on with you, man? You're back again.
Spoilers, Jeff. Yeah, I'm back again. It feels good to be back into the swing of things because for a long time, I hadn't done a NoDQ video, and now I've done reviews the last 3 or so weeks. So it feels good to be back. I got some more Teespring shirts designed, not even for me, just for other people, part of the crew. So it's good stuff.
Well, we are on episode 93 on our way to 100, so, why not bring the elite of the elite? So, Aaron Rift, what's going on, man?
We just got a thumbs down already, that son of a bitch.
I know who it is.
Who cares?
Yeah. All
We'll get 80 to 90% more thumbs up when it's all said and done. What's up, Aaron?
Well, I'm doing pretty good. We just got a $21 super chat from Nick Glavin. Thank you so much, Nick. He says, time for the NoDQ panel. Great discussion ahead. Thank you guys for what you do. Been a long-time supporter. Been watching and following NoDQ since 2006. All right, we appreciate that very much, Nick.
I wonder what point 2006.
Yeah. Hopefully it was the later part of 2006.
Yeah.
Anyways, we'll move past that. Let's get to the discussion, talking about WWE, AEW, all that good stuff. Virtue, let's go ahead and get started.
All right, let's start with the rumors of WWE potentially being sold to Fox, ESPN. Who cares? It's a rumor, but it's fun to talk about this kind of stuff. And here's what I am taking away from this. During all this hard times of 2020, Vince McMahon's XFL crapped out. Will it probably sell? I'm going to go ahead and say no. Vince McMahon will never get rid of this company, but could it? That means we got a 1% chance, a 0.5% chance, 3% chance. Yes, it could. And Vince McMahon should consider doing something, whether selling it or stepping down, because when I watched him on SmackDown last week, the guy is 74 years old and he's starting to show it. Now, he started taking bumps in wrestling later in life. I don't know if he took steroids or not, but Vince McMahon's body's probably been through hell and back, the rigorous workouts, the lack of sleep. And, it's time to be just an old man, Vince. And I worry about your health. And maybe you should rest and stop traveling and stop doing all this. So what's everyone's thoughts on this rumor of WWE being sold and the ramifications if something like that did happen? And more importantly, Vince McMahon's health as he ages doing this stressful job. Greg Cherry, I will start with you.
Vince McMahon kind of puts me in mind of my recently deceased grandfather who passed away at 95, 96 years old. And he kept wanting to do things on his own. And I feel like Vince wants to run this company until he dies. And I don't think anything is going to change his mind. I think his work mentality is that he's going to keep pushing and keep pushing even to the point where he doesn't make sense anymore. And yeah, you're right. His body has been through a lot. He's been through some incredibly brutal matches over the years. Just look at his WrestleMania matches against Shane, against Hogan, even Shawn Michaels. That chair shot, the HBK match, I'm amazed you couldn't hear it outside of the building. It was that loud. But I agree. Vince needs to look at his health, see who wants to step up and run the company, because he's going to have to make that decision. He's not going to live forever. So we'll see what happens, but I don't see him being sold either. We've heard those rumors for many years that they were going to get sold to Disney. They're going to get sold to Fox, to ESPN, to all of these major conglomerates. It's just not going to happen, at least not with Vince still alive.
Gotcha. And I can agree with that. Now, Jeff, what's your thoughts on this? And play devil's advocate here. Do you want to take a venture to, if they did sell, what would life like be for the fans?
It would be interesting if a major media conglomerate were to buy WWE. And I say that because, remember, the whole knock against WCW in the first place was it was a television company running a wrestling promotion, whereas WWE has been a wrestling promotion run by wrestling people. If ESPN, which means Disney, would buy WWE, it would be run by, whoever their CEO puts in charge of that division of the company. So would it be the same product? Probably not. The other thing to consider is I have a firm belief that WWE will continue on with a McMahon, be it Hunter, be it Vince, be it Stephanie, be it the grandkids, whoever, until there is no more McMahon lineage to go through. I can't logistically or even imagine a future of WWE without the McMahons in some sort of majority control. If either of the two companies were to buy WWE, I would think it would be Fox.
Gotcha.
And I only say that because Fox has a bigger overall sports distribution package than Disney/ABC/ESPN does. So I think they would have a much easier time putting Raw and NXT on a FS1 or Fox itself or whatever than ABC, Disney, ESPN would have a challenging time finding a slot for all three shows.
Now, what do you think on Vince's health? Because when I heard him cutting that promo, he didn't do much, and he was breathy, and that concerns me. I have aging parents, and usually you're not healthy when you're breathing like that, and it was very noticeable. Maybe because there was no fans, maybe just the atmosphere, and he's always been that way. I don't know, but I hate noticing stuff like that.
All right,
you just start thinking.
I can say the unhealthiness causing shortness of breath is a very real thing because I'm not exactly in the best of health as far as my physical overall, health, if you will, as far as I'm overweight, whatever. And I get heavy-winded, I get long-winded, I talk a lot, as you all know. And when I get going on hour-long shows or whatever, then I get to, I have to press pause and go, when I'm done. I mean, shit, I did a 2-hour session today with a co-host of mine. When I turned off the channel, I was like, damn, I had to drink a gallon of water. I can definitely see where Vince is showing his 74 years. It wasn't pretty.
He just needs to enjoy life, but maybe this is enjoying life to him. Aaron Rift, what do you think here on the rumor of WWE selling and just Vince maybe needing to retire to enjoy the rest of his life? What do you think?
I really do not have much to add to it. I did not even address what Zeb Coulter posted because I feel there's really no new information that's out there. The stuff about Fox and ESPN, that's been around for quite some time now. I said it before and I'll say it again, and I feel there's no need to address it any further until there's actually some concrete news about it. I don't think Vince is going to sell as long as he's alive. Don't see it happening. As long as he can breathe, period, he's going to keep his baby intact and he's not going to give up on it. If Vince does step down or has to reduce his role, Triple H and Stephanie will just take over, and that's that. That's all I got to say about that, as Steve Austin would say.
I was just wondering if NoDQ was going to put in a bid for him. That's all. I mean, but I thought that's where you're going to go with this.
No, I mean...
Anyway.
I mean, it's tempting, Might have to put together a little bit of funds from various sources, but I think I'm okay.
I wore this because I figured Disney would buy NoDQ if they couldn't buy WWE. So I figured I'd just go for the most likely scenario.
Well, if Disney ever did it, we might actually get some type of building that it's the Hall of Fame where we could visit.
Yes, I am all about going to Orlando for a Hall of Fame ceremony. That'd be awesome.
All right, well, we'll move on from that. It's just fun to talk about that kind of stuff. But more importantly, I was concerned about Vince's health, but this might be living to him. We got another couple guys gone. Curtis Axel recently released, and Cain Velasquez. I didn't even know he was technically with them. Velasquez, good. I mean, come on, go back to UFC or whatever. And then Jinder's back. Jinder wasn't a release. Former WWE champion. So what's everyone's thoughts on the couple more releases and Jinder being back? You know what I can kind of see with Jinder? One of my buddies said, oh, yeah, he's just going to help Seth Rollins win the Universal title and be one of his henchmen. That would be hilarious. But I'm just saying that's, you don't want to see Drew McIntyre lose his title right away, putting it back on Seth. That would just be a big Vince McMahon thing there. What do you think, Aaron, on the releases and Jinder being back? I know you got excited the other night and messaged me about it, hey, I'm going to put the thumbnail up on the review.
Oh, yeah.
Or not the review, but your Raw show.
I feel like WWE should at least do a Drew McIntyre versus Jinder Mahal match for the WWE title. They might as well. I could see it being on a Raw, though. I'm not sure if WWE will actually put that on a pay-per-view. Ken Terminated by Google says, can Joe Henning use the Curtis Axel moniker? No, that belongs to WWE. He could be Joe Henning, but not Curtis Axel.
Yeah, use your last name, man. Come on.
I mean, hell, I would not use Curtis Axel. I would stay as far away from that name as possible. I think his best shot...
Last name Hennig. Who's Hennig,
Yeah, his best shot at succeeding, I think, is just to use his real name. I never liked the Curtis Axel name in the first place. He had terrible names. I mean, that Michael McGillicuddy was really bad, and then Curtis Axel was a little better, but I still wasn't that invested in it. Yeah, the problem with Jinder Mahal is that last time we saw him, he was fighting for the 24/7 title. But granted, he has been gone for a while. And I think you could build him up for Drew and at least get one program, one match out of those guys before Jinder goes back to mid-card hell or whatever he does. And as far as Cain Velasquez goes, he did nothing as far as I'm concerned. He brought nothing to the table. Maybe he brought a few more eyeballs to the Saudi Arabia pay-per-view, but yeah, the guy needed way more training to become a sports entertainer. Great fighter, of course, but when it comes to wrestling, sports entertainment, it's a whole different beast. And we never really got to see if he progressed at all because he got cut. And I get it because WWE was paying him a lot of money, and with no crowds, what's the point in having him around as a special attraction? They might as well wait until things get somewhat back to normal, and then perhaps they could bring him back and renegotiate a new deal with him. But yeah, I totally get cutting him. And Joe Henning, not surprised about that at all. I mean, he hasn't been doing anything in years, and I was surprised because I figured he was going to be one of the guys that they cut a couple weeks ago. So when he got spared for those 2 weeks, I was like, whoa, why are they keeping Curtis Axel around? So yeah, not really surprised about any of the developments, and I knew Jinder would be back. So we'll see what happens with Jinder. We'll see if he gets an opportunity at Drew in the future.
All right, Jeff, what do you think? Are they trying to make their company look more appealing to sell by cutting these people? No, I'm just kidding. We already talked about that. What do you think on the releases and Jinder?
It's Joe Henning doesn't surprise me. What have they done with him or Bo Dallas in a year, maybe more? What have they done? What have either of them done really since the Miztourage no longer became a thing? So there's that. Velasquez, I felt when it happened and feel to this day that it was the most WCW-esque purchase I've ever seen of a talent in my entire life. He has buzz. Let's do that. There was no marginal value other than, well, we need to pack, brand names onto a Saudi show. Let's put somebody against Lesnar. I know Cain Velasquez is available. Let's bring him aboard. And it was a complete wasted effort, in my opinion. Jinder Mahal being back and not being part of the cut list actually doesn't surprise me. We've all on this channel talked about, Vince's love for, the big burly man, if you will. And Jinder is a solid muscle dude, and he has that appeal to Vince and to other people in Vince's circle. Now, if Jinder can stay away from the goofy gimmicks, the whole Modern Day Maharaja thing, if he can, just stick to being a kick-ass, I'm going to beat you up wrestler and avoid doing anything regarding the word 3, M, or B, he'll be in good shape.
Yeah, good point. Now, Greg, what do you think here on this topic? I'm interested in your Curtis Axel thing because I really think WWE dropped the ball with him all these years, and I don't know why. He was a great worker, but he never had the gimmick, never had a good name, never was marketable.
I really don't know what it was either. I mean, he came back in 2013 with the Curtis Axel thing with Paul Heyman, won the Intercontinental Championship, and then proceeded to do absolutely nothing. Is this just like Heyman can only manage Brock and anybody else he was associated with in WWE it doesn't work for? Look at Cesaro. Look at Ryback, Curtis Axel. I mean, who else did he manage that it just didn't work out? You know what I mean? Curtis Axel, though, out of the three of those, not that Cesaro is terrible, but Curtis Axel probably got the shaft the most out of that because he has the look, he has the talent. He's, I mean, think of who his dad is, Mr. Perfect.
Yeah.
But I think he'll go on to, whether he goes to New Japan, whether he goes to AEW, Ring of Honor. Ring of Honor would actually be a very interesting fit for Joe Henry. That would be probably a top-notch get by them. But he'll land on his feet. He'll be fine.
What about the NWA?
I mean, the NWA would be perfect, too. That would work out great for him, too, if he decides to go that route. Regardless where he goes, he's going to be successful, in my opinion. He could just stay on the independents. As far as Jinder being back, I called this from shortly after the Royal Rumble that Jinder Mahal and Drew McIntyre would have a WWE Championship feud. It's obviously not set in stone by any means, but it makes perfect sense for it to happen. I actually figured before all the pandemic stuff happened that Jinder would come back the Raw after Mania and challenge Drew. Obviously, everything got thrown off, but I think it'll happen. I think it needs to happen. Too bad we can't have Heath Slater be the guest referee, but I mean, I guess they still could. They're having a couple of their released people back on the shows anyway, so why not?
Yeah, like Drake Maverick. Joe came back recently, and he's doing commentary, and I know a lot of people are fans of him doing commentary, and sometimes wrestlers that just never – I mean, Joe's been hurt a lot, right? So this commentary thing, he could wrestle occasionally so he stays healthy, but in between, we could get a new commentator that actually – I mean, all the commentators today usually are hated on with the exception of Mauro Ranallo. So, Greg, I'll start with you, Jeff, on this one. Do you think Joe has a future doing this long-term, like Taz did it,
Right.
And the list goes on? What do you think?
JBL, etc. Yeah. I think Joe has the potential to be in that same vein as Taz and the King before, not the King now, because but JBL, those guys who transitioned from a pretty decent in-ring career to a really solid commentary position, because Joe is knowledgeable in wrestling in the business, and he's also knowledgeable of the holds of like judo and the other mixed martial arts. So he knows his stuff. And I think that him calling the action or doing the analysis of the action would be greatly beneficial to the product as a whole.
What do you think the perfect announce team would be? A two-man team, because I don't like three-man teams. Out of everybody available in WWE right now,
wholeheartedly agree with that assessment. I would go with Mauro and Samoa Joe.
Oh, Joe, there you go, right out of the gates. What do you think on this, Greg?
In addition to people that transition from wrestling to commentary, you got to look at Corey Graves too, whose career ended in the ring due to concussions, kind of similar to Joe, how he's going, having as many injuries as he had, and he's become one of the top commentators in WWE. So I think it's a perfect fit for Joe. Joe's always been a comfortable talker. He's never had a problem with it. And anytime Joe opens his mouth, it's entertaining. Anytime he's been in the ring, it's entertaining. So Samoa Joe is just good at everything he does, plain and simple.
Now, thank you, Greg. Aaron, was it you that was tweeting that you really enjoyed Joe on commentary? I thought that's what I saw. You want to elaborate on that?
I just think that he is really solid at what he does, and I feel like wrestlers tend to be really good commentators because they've been in the ring. They know what's going on in the ring. They know how to get the stories across, and I think Joe is just as good as some of the other wrestlers turned commentators like Taz, as you mentioned. I feel bad that it looks like his career is coming to an end. It looks like his best days are behind him now. I feel like maybe if he had debuted in WWE 3 or 4 years earlier, he might have had a better run. But then again, who knows? Because it wasn't until 2013, 2014 that the TNA guys started to get opportunities in WWE, and the independent darlings. Once CM Punk and Daniel Bryan got hot, that's when the door opened for people like Samoa Joe to come into WWE. So it's hard to say. And Adrian, you're right. Not all wrestlers are good commentators. I mean, there's always exceptions to the rule, but I feel most of them just have that natural ability to understand what's going on in the ring better than somebody who hasn't been competing in the ring. But yeah, I'm really happy for Joe that he's got something to do now besides wrestle in WWE.
Yeah, I think Aaron was trying to say the ones that transitioned full time have proven well. These one-off guys that come on, during the show, whatever, they haven't been that good. But think about it: Bobby Heenan, Jay Ventura, JB King, all those guys have been really, really solid. And people are hating on Corey Graves in the chat room. I vehemently disagree. I think Corey Graves is an amazing color commentator. So.
And that's where I'm sick of Corey Graves. I don't know. He just hasn't proven anything to me other than a snarky, don't know if he wants to be heel or have the fans like him. I want old school. I want a play-by-play guy that's babyface, and I want the heel color commentator. To me, Corey Graves is trying to do shades of gray. He's not awful. I'd rather have him than Michael Cole, Phillips, and some of these others.
Agreed, yeah.
But I want to make the chat room happy that I kind of agree with some of you there. With this. Greg, I'm coming to you on this topic.
Yeah.
Did you get the last WWE 2K game?
No.
Okay, you didn't. And it was a dumpster fire. Okay. They said they're not doing that traditional one this year. Like normally by now, we might know who's going to be on the cover. It's a whole cycle, and in the fall they release it. Well, they're doing like an arcade style game called Battlegrounds. And you know what? I'm an old school gamer. I loved WrestleMania, the arcade game. I loved In Your House, the Mortal Kombat style wrestling games. Yes, they're not as realistic, but they beat that Madden formula drum to death. It's the same game every year. It's just a simulation of. I don't want that. I want a video game. So, Greg, I'm excited for Battlegrounds. I'm going to buy it opening day because I love old school arcade style beat 'em up wrestle. What do you think with this? I know, Aaron, I'm going to save you last on this because you probably don't care. But go, Greg.
I looked at the trailer, and it put me in mind of the WrestleMania, the arcade game. It also put me in mind of the All-Stars game that came out 10 years ago. And also, it kind of looked like a little bit of WWE Brawl, that unreleased game that just never happened for some reason. And you're right, it does put you in kind of that Mortal Kombat, more of like a PG way, because obviously you can't have the blood and guts with the WWE.
I saw an alligator in the trailer.
You did see an alligator in the trailer looking to eat John Cena, so there's that. So we'll see if anything comes of that. But WWE 2K20, those games typically come out right before my birthday and right before Christmas. And I told anybody who decided they were going to get me gifts, I was like, don't get me this game. I've heard it's the shits. So I completely avoided, for the first time in probably about 25 years, I didn't get an annual WWE game release, which was ridiculous, but the game kind of deserved it because it was terrible.
So you had the one the year before then?
I did have 2K19. I did. And it's a solid game. But you're right. With the whole Madden formula and just really updating the rosters every year and not changing much of the game, it's annoying. I would rather wait 2 years between a game for a more solid gameplay than play the same game that I paid for last year with just new people. I don't want that experience. So this, for us both being gamers, it's pretty exciting. I've seen people talk trash about it on Twitter a lot, but that's what people on Twitter do. They talk trash. It's like, oh, this looks like crap. It's like, you saw 21 seconds of a trailer. Shut the fuck up.
Well, that's the people that want. They're used to the formula every year. They want their game. They want their full route. You know what I mean? I think those are the ones that are hating on it before it's out. The Sonic movie got hated out because of the way he looked, and then they changed it, and then boom, it was successful. Aaron, I'm going to come to you next because I know you're a gamer in terms of Super Mario, but I think there's a wrestling game you wish. I think it's a defunct company now. If somebody could buy what wrestling game would you like to see come back or style? I think we all know what this is going to be. In case you don't really want to talk about this new one too much, what do you think of wrestling video games?
I'd love to see a new version of No Mercy or even Day of Reckoning, one of those games. I want a wrestling game that feels like a wrestling match. I know this game is probably going to have some appeal to some people, but to me, it's not really a wrestling game. It's a different type of game. If I'm going to be playing a wrestling game, I want it to feel like an actual wrestling match. And No Mercy had that realism. Day of Reckoning had that realism. And a lot of people like those early PlayStation games. Here Comes the Pain. There were a couple of other ones. I'm not going to be playing it, but I'm sure some people will find it appealing enough. I'm just hoping this time off, maybe WWE and the makers will be able to come up with something good and different, change things up a little bit, but in a way
that's what this game is that they're coming out
not
with.
really, because you said it's just like that All-Stars game, so it's more or less just.
Well, we don't know.
We don't know, and
from the trailer, we can only assume. We don't know what the gameplay is.
And in the video game industry right now, Aaron, you should know this. Retro is huge. Like arcade is retro, even though it's got modern graphics. It's a 3D game. I think this is going to surprise some people. There'll be the hater group that'll go and that'll rating bomb it. But I don't know. I have only seen 21 seconds, but I'm going in with a great feeling about this.
Well, I mean, again, I do not think you can really judge it positive or negative based off of a 20-second trailer. So, I mean, for me,
it's
sometimes
not going to be the crap we've got the last 10 years. It's a boring wrestling emulation with updated rosters. Now, I understand that's what you want, but there's a lot of people in the gaming community that want a video game, not an emulation.
Yeah.
So I think there's two sides of the coin here.
Yeah. Now, real quick here, Good Looks with a $2 super chat says, do you see the Saudi Arabia government maybe purchasing WWE? No, because first of all, if they bought WWE, they would try to find Yokozuna and make Yokozuna the world champion. But there's a problem with that. Yokozuna is, 50-something years old, and he's dead. So ain't going to happen.
Well, I can be Yokozuna in WrestleMania, the arcade game, and it's awesome. So, Jeff, what do you think? Are you a big gamer?
I'm not. I never really was, although I was the NoDQ CW champion, so there's that. But but I bought 2K18 for Dylan, and he enjoyed it. I enjoyed the gameplay. I haven't really been good at a video game since SmackDown vs. Raw 2007. So there's that little tidbit of information. I love the gameplay on that game and the controller options. Unfortunately, when 2008 came out, they took away the option of reverting the controller controls back. So I was like, well, then the hell with it. I'm not going to buy it. I did see 2K20 or whatever the freaking dumpster fire game that came out. I saw that being played at a friend's house, and I was overwhelmed with joy that I didn't buy that my damn self. Holy cow, was that bad. This game that's coming out soon, this Battleground game, it definitely would appeal to the gamer community. I just don't know if the wrestling/gamer community will come out in droves to buy it. Because, yeah, it'd be funnier than hell to see John Cena beaten by an alligator. That's just funny on general principle. But, again, is the hardcore WWF, WWE fan going to go out and buy more of a role-playing video game, or do we want to just, dig our heels in and, play our 2K18 until something better comes out?
Well, as long as it's got their wrestlers in it, even if they're cartoony, I think they're going to go for it, because they're not going to have another game to get. What other wrestling game is there going to be? You know what I mean? There none. Well, before we used to get WCW, ECW. Now it's WWE's only wrestling games every year.
What I would do. What I would do personally is honestly go back into my archives and bring back some of the games from the arcade, and I mean, Greg, I don't know who on the.
I'm right here.
I know.
SmackDown. Hold on. SmackDown.
There you go. Yeah, honestly, if there was, I don't know who was on the roster at the time. I forget who's on that roster of that game. WrestleFest would be a hell of a retro release.
Oh, dude, I know, but it's all about the rights and stuff. And right. I mean, I wish we could get a modern day engine of the No Mercy game, but THQ's out of business. Who owns the rights to that engine and formula? That's what Aaron wants. I mean, I would be all for that, but it's just been done so many times. I mean, you can only do a video game so many times before it starts getting boring and repetitive.
Yeah, I mean, it's it's being a parent. My son wants a game every year. It's like, Dylan, they haven't updated the roster in 5 years. Why am I buying the same game 5 times?
All right.
So
now, before we move away from video games, Nick Glavin with a $2.79 super chat says, any rumors of an AEW game? Yes, Cody has been talking about it, but they're not in any kind of rush. They're taking their time with it. It might be another year or so before we get an AEW game, but I know for sure they're working on it. And I feel like they might come out with something close to No Mercy, because knowing Cody and listening to what the internet says about what they want in a video game, I think they're going to deliver something really cool. I have pretty high expectations, and if they make something even close to No Mercy, I will pick that up for sure.
See, so there's something out there that Aaron wants in terms of wrestling video game. I like that, and that was classic.
Remember. The AEW creative team is Cody, the Young Bucks, and Kenny Omega. If there's 4 bigger gamers in wrestling, I don't know who the hell they are, like, for real. So,
and they might be saying, wow, WWE's going in this direction with their game. Oh, all right, let's pounce. So we'll see how this all plays out. But we know there's gamers out there that love these games, regardless of if they're emulations or if they're arcadey. Let's go to 20 years ago, because just recently it's the 20-year anniversary of David Arquette winning the WCW World Championship. Now, I have, with the mess that most people call WCW 2000, when I go through and I've watched all the WCW 2000 stuff, through all the stuff that Russo and Bischoff and everybody involved during that time, Sullivan was throwing against the wall, some stuff stuck. That's the stuff I like. Some stuff didn't. Russo should have never had that title. But David Arquette did. We understand, he pinned Bischoff, okay? They did it because Ready to Rumble was out. They wanted to make headlines. They were already losing pretty big to WWE. They were just trying to do something. Yes, did it kind of hurt the credibility of the WCW title? Well, finger pokes of doom, a lot of different things can hurt credibilities of titles. But 20 years later, less than that actually, David Arquette trained to be a wrestler. It bothered him what people were saying about what happened back then. He actually went and trained, and he's had some really, really good matches. Is he like the super great indie worker? No. But is he really solid? And I commend him for doing this so many years later. Yes. And the fact this guy can go out there and have a match. He could be working for AEW or WWE having a match, and you're like, is that the same David Arquette we've bitched about for 20 years? So this is fascinating. 20 years later, it's still talked about, and now David Arquette is a worker. Aaron, take it away. He's a nice guy too, by the way.
Yes, he is, and I'm really impressed with what he's done in wrestling. Actually, going out and learning how to work and taking some bumps. I remember seeing that hardcore match he did in California a year or so back, and I was like, damn, this guy actually wants to earn his stripes and gain some respect. And I respect the guy. And keep in mind, when he won the WCW title, he donated his money to the families, like Brian Pillman's family, and he knew that it was gonna get some backlash, but he was trying to help out with the company, help promote the movie, and help bring some eyeballs to WCW at the time. It didn't work because WCW was already going down, and nobody found it believable that an actor like him would even be in a title match in the first place. The title was already dead by that point, so it really didn't matter who the champion was. The title had no drawing power, and yeah, I mean, a lot of people see it as the nail in the coffin of WCW, but I don't think it. I think there were so many other things going on that it really didn't matter at that point. It was just yet another reason for people to say, oh, I'm done with this. I'm done with WCW. But it's funny, like, even though they damaged their brand so badly, they were still getting almost 3 million viewers, even a little over 3 million viewers at the end of the company. So, yeah, I just feel bad that he got so much heat over that. But Jeff, you and I, we've talked about David Arquette a lot over the years. Your thoughts?
He was a star, and you both are horror movie buffs. The Wes Craven Scream series was Wes Craven did Nightmare on Elm Street, right? And in the 90s, he appealed to the 90s generation. That was cool for the 90s horror growing up, where we were more in the 80s. And David Arquette was the star of those films. So what do you think here, Jeff?
Well, I talked a lot about David on Monday on Meech's Musings. I really went in depth on the whole thing. And first of all, yes, we met David Arquette a couple times. I met him at Marquez's show a couple times. Aaron and I met him at SmackDown on Fox. It was so funny that David actually seemed to recognize me. So he called Aaron and I over. We took a picture, and before we knew it, he got swarmed. I'm like, I feel bad. He's like, no, you're good. You're good. He is a wonderful guy. He gets too bum of a rap, and I'll tell you why. And I'm going to just say it like it is. People talk about the finger poke of doom being the death of WCW. People talk about David Arquette or Vince Russo being the world champion. WCW did not win a single night of ratings war after the night after Halloween Havoc 98. And the only reason they won that night is because they replayed the match between Goldberg and Dallas because of the pay-per-view feed controversy that happened. So WCW was dead when Eric Bischoff walked into a room in August of 98 full of 15 people in suits telling him how to run his company. And anybody that says otherwise has not read a awesome book called Nitro by Guy Evans. They were dead in the water for the last 2.5 years of their existence.
Well, I do know David Arquette winning made USA Today and some newspapers where normally wrestling matches don't the next day. So that's what they were going for. But it just it only lasted that week. The buzz wore off quick. Right.
The fact of the matter was, for all of it, I crap on Vince Russo, and Lord knows I crap on Vince Russo a lot. And I do. I'm sorry, I do. But he and Eric were trying to throw anything at that wall to make it stick. And for that brief moment in time, there was enough buzz on a little wrestling company that was run by, a conglomerate called AOL Time Warner that USA Today felt the need to make a statement about it. So that got the job done in the moment. Long term? No, of course not. But anything long term in WCW past the split of the NWO in early 1998 was not going to work, and it wasn't working. So I think to crap on Arquette and his reign as the death of WCW or one of the deaths, I think it was more of a little prick in the finger than it was a stab wound to the chest.
Yeah. Well, thank you for that. I was going to ask Greg this, but before I do that, would you like to see Arquette wrestle somebody in like WWE or AEW, like something short term, pay by appearance? Like, I don't know. Is there any stock in that, or is it just indie or nothing for him?
I think there is an appeal. I mean, honestly, if it would have been good, it would have been good this week. If we weren't in such a shitstorm of, COVID stuff or whatever, and Arquette was able to be booked into a Florida venue, then yeah, it would have been cool to see him on WWE TV this week or AEW on Dynamite. But I think that anything past an anniversary or whatever is kind of like, it'd be cool to, I honestly feel he's a viable WWE Hall of Fame celebrity inductee personally. So maybe bring him in for next year's Mania out here, just saying. And maybe. Do that,
Well, he's trained, so he could bump.
Don't say no. Don't put that out there. Yeah. I wouldn't mind seeing him in some sort of, celebrity tag match or something out here next year if they come out here. So
keep it simple. Greg Cherry, what do you think here on David Arquette 20 years later?
I remember. I don't remember. It was probably looking at NoDQ or I guess the Mayhem back then, or WWFWCW.com, whichever. Seeing that David Arquette had won the WCW championship, I was like, what?
Right.
Because I didn't get to watch it live. I saw the video clips after. And then I thought it was funny when they brought him on to Raw one time and had him in the handicap tables match against Orton, against him and Alex Riley. And then Arquette got put through a table. It's like, oh, okay, cool. That WWE at least acknowledged it.
Yeah.
And I give him props for going through. I think it was a death match. I think it was more than a hardcore match they went through, and he had like light tubes broken across his back and all that stuff. I don't know what else he did. I just saw a couple seconds of that, but I mean, he wants to prove to himself that he's not just a one-off. He's not a joke in WCW. He was more legit than that brief WCW run gave him. And quite frankly, he is. And good on him. Good on him for wanting to prove himself. That shows a lot of character.
Maybe when business gets back, he'll be the newest member of NXT. Anyways, Aaron, you have some super chats you want to go over?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, we all talked about Arquette, yeah, so go ahead.
And we also had somebody spamming in the chat room. I'm not sure if we have any moderators in here besides Ken, so I guess if there are trolls out there, this would be a field day for them to invade and try to
I've been keeping track of. Did I miss stuff?
Yeah, there was a troll in there. But anyways, we'll move past that. Adrian with the $5 super chat here says, why aren't the Natural Disasters and the Nasty Boys in the Hall of Fame? Should they be panel? Okay, so I think it comes down to politics, and there's really not a reason to induct either team right now. I think the Nasty Boys are more likely because, let's face it, it'll probably be Hulk Hogan, maybe Jimmy Hart inducting the Nasty Boys into the Hall of Fame. So I think they're a possibility. Natural Disasters, maybe. It might be cool for them to be inducted. So Fred Ottman can have that moment, and Earthquake's family. But, I mean, neither of them were really that big as far as tag teams go in terms of longevity. Obviously, Natural Disasters were technically a big team, but they weren't around for a very long time. I think they had maybe like a year and a half run. And Nasty Boys had a longer run, not just WWE, but WCW. So I think Nasty Boys would be more likely. I could see Nasty Boys, and as I always say, if the Bushwhackers can get in, either of these teams can get in. Greg, what are your thoughts? Do they deserve to be in?
I mean, I liked both the Natural Disasters and the Nasty Boys. I'm waiting for the Money Inc. induction, quite frankly.
Right.
Because, I mean, think of the legendary tag team run that they had where they got counted out pretty much every match so they could keep the championships. It was brilliant strategy, quite frankly. And I think Money Inc. over both of them, personally.
Okay. All right, Jeff, what do you think?
Well, as far as inducting them as a team, you can go back and forth on that. But, you know, Earthquake was the first real heel to actually get to Hogan. He took Hogan out for a good chunk of time. So I put him in just for that alone. You know, I mean, don't put in the Shark or anything, but, put in Earthquake.
Golga.
And oh yeah, the Golga. There you go. Yeah. And Tugboat. God bless Uncle Fred. Honest to God. Tugboat was my brother's first favorite. We went to a sports arena show in June of '91, and we were like up on the second tier of the sports arena, and he was on the floor, like kind of like just walking around doing like meat or whatever. And he looked up, and my brother went like this, and Tugboat went right at him. It made his 4-year-old little heart's day, man. Oh my God, was my brother loving that moment? It was so cool. So I put Tugboat in just for that alone.
Right.
And I also did point out that they should go in next year in Los Angeles because that's the 30th anniversary of the year they formed. So again, LA. There you go.
Yeah. Now, Jeff,
the Nasties again. They're Hulk Hogan's friends, especially Brian. So, yeah, either Hogan or Jimmy will put them in, and there's definitely will be a lot of political clout. I feel they belong in there. They were a viable act in the 90s when wrestling was hot, so yes, put them in.
Right. Now, you make good points there, Jeff. A lot of comments in the chat room bring up some good points here, that there are other teams that I feel should be going in first, and Greg did mention Money Inc. Demolition, they're not in yet. They would be at the top of my list.
Well, Demolition they were both part of that class action suit, so the WWE would be like, yeah, good luck with that.
Well, Steiner Brothers, which we know probably not going to happen.
Definitely are.
LOD got it, right?
Incorrect.
The Road Warriors did in 2011, yes.
Yeah. Now, Virtue, before I get your thoughts on it, Big G sent in a $5 super chat, says, Big G just dropping by, still on assignment for NoDQ. Shout out to the Big G of NoDQ. So, Virtue, I'll get your thoughts on it. And also, John Schlosser with a $5 super chat says, why does WWE and AEW continue to put out mediocre TV, knowing that having an arena with fans could still be a long ways away? So, Virtue, any other thoughts on the Hall of Fame tag teams, and then your thoughts on
Not
what
the
John
nasty.
said?
I mean, if you put the nasties in, you got to put a lot. They never headlined anything. Earthquake headlined the SummerSlam with Hogan, had a big program with Hogan. Tugboat was involved kind of with that angle too, and then they became the world tag team champions. So the natural disasters, yes, but probably behind some other teams. But yes, both of those guys. Because think about it, I would like to see Tugboat trip during it, like purposely trip through a thing, right, during his Hall of Fame induction. What do you think on that, Greg or Jeff? No helmet though.
Right. Yeah.
With some comedic relief if they ever do that. But yeah, I think they should get it at some point.
Why the hell not? Yeah, sure.
That's it. Did you have other super chats, Aaron?
Well, yeah. So the last super chat was about WWE having mediocre TV and AEW as well. Why are they doing it when there's no fans in attendance?
Okay. I'm going to cut everybody off and jump in on this one because that right there pisses me the fuck off.
Go.
If you have a problem with the product being put out, turn the channel. Stop bitching. We're getting some first run wrestling. Yes, it's not the big extravaganza with the pyro and the music and the whole, but we're getting first run wrestling. If you don't like it, turn the shit off.
They need to go back and watch some NWA and some AWA and see back in the day when televised wrestling, they did have fans, but they didn't have these.
Seriously, the WWE Network, Mid-Atlantic Championship Wrestling, and old NWA, WCW stuff from pre-88. There is no music. There is no pyro. There's like 20 people in the studio.
Yep. Good point.
Get over it. Christ.
Listen to the West Coast Professor, people. Jeff Meacham has spoken.
So John said the Bubbly Bunch stuff has been really cringe. So he apparently is not a fan. I thought that thing with all the celebrities with Jay and Silent Bob, I thought that was hilarious. I loved it.
That was great.
And Sammy Guevara winning the hand sanitizer, I thought that was very entertaining personally.
But, Aaron, the people that aren't liking wrestling right now, I get it. They're the people that they feed off of the chants going, this is awesome, you deserve it, asshole, anything. Like that, they watch wrestling to be one of those voices in a chant. And if they don't have that, wrestling doesn't appeal to them.
Aaron,
it's a preference.
Aaron and I went to PWG shows for 2 years, and every time we would get a dual chant, one of us would go, make up your mind, clap, 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 make up, just to piss them off.
Oh,
and then,
Aaron knows. I had fun at Chicago with chanting.
I'll never forget. We were at a house show, a SmackDown house show in late 2003. Brock had just regained the championship from Angle, and Brock had tapped out during that match. So out comes Lesnar for the match, and everybody's chanting, you tapped out. You tapped out. And Aaron, in front of his dad and me without missing a beat, so did Hogan. I'm looking at it. Damn. And he didn't care. It was great. I was like, Aaron's troll level was up. I was so proud of him.
Yes. Well, we're going to go to the main event here. Thank you for that, Jeff.
You're welcome. I'm sorry. I'm so tired. So
as the thumbnail suggests, we're going to talk about Velveteen Dream here and the accusations and the this is always a messy subject. And it's like, we'll have to see how this all plays out. But he's in an NXT title match coming up. Is that next week? When is this, Aaron?
It's next Wednesday.
And it's live, right?
Yep.
So we can probably think he's not going to win the title here. But I hate this stuff because think about the wrestlers back in the 80s and all the crap they did and things they did and things maybe they weren't supposed to do. If there was social media but it was a different culture back then with what it is now. If he's guilty of these, that's awful. It's one thing to still, to do pictures and stuff on phones and have conversations to actually execute the act in person. So it just sucks because I like this guy and I hope that he rises above this. And this was, it's all false or whatever it is. And everybody comes to mutual understanding. Who wants to go first on this? Because this is I really don't know what to say other than I hope that nothing major happens out of this and these females are lying, but it could be true. I mean, there's evidence.
Greg, Greg,
Oh.
before you go, John Slosher just sent in a $2 super chat. Says it feels like less effort with no crowd. Sorry. I still think they're putting in the effort.
Yeah, there is less effort because there's less production going into it. They're not trying. They're just trying the best they can.
I mean, I agree. It's definitely not as interesting to watch with no crowd, but I think as far as effort goes, they're doing the absolute best they can under the circumstances. Anyways, we're moving on here. Greg, we'll start with you with your thoughts
Greg,
on
go.
Velveteen Dream.
Like, I'm behind him. I'm still, you're innocent until you're proven guilty. Like, not just based on what's on the internet, based on the actual law. So go ahead.
And especially these days, you never know how many like accusations could be fabricated just to like ruin somebody's career, and that's such a bullshit thing to do. If it is indeed proven that he did it, then we'll go from there. But at least let like due process and stuff happen before you jump down this guy's throat. It's like, you have no idea if he did it. Somebody could have photoshopped something really well. Some people are saying that the voicemail that he said, or the voice message, didn't even sound like him. I can't judge that one way or the other. But like, everybody just chill out. Not to say that if he's guilty, then I'll eat my words. And it is a terrible thing. Like you said, he shouldn't be doing that. Shouldn't be sending that stuff to minors. But if somebody's doing this to ruin his career, then that's terrible. Because Patrick Clark, Velveteen Dream, whatever you want to call him, is an incredibly talented person who has a major future, as long as this isn't the thing that completely ruins not only his career, but his life. So, like you, Virtue, I'm hoping that it's not true. I'm hoping that this is just some fabrication that somebody... I haven't heard anything since he made his comments, and it's been kind of ignored. So who knows? It might have been a hoax. Nobody's really talked about it since.
Yeah, I mean, and people are out to get people. I mean, we see in the chat, once in a while with these trolls, certain people out there don't have anything better to do. Now, again, could it be true? And then we'll have to rediscuss this later. Yes. But again, innocent until proven guilty. Jeff Meacham, what do you think here? And his big title match coming up next week.
Yeah.
Wow. WWE. Ugh.
I think, honestly, the closest example we can find in recent memory is James Ellsworth. People were so quick to jump on James's back about, how could he possibly do such a horrible thing in this day and age? No charges filed. Nothing ever proven in a court of law or sort of investigation proved anything. And yet James lost his job, which is bullshit. Now, if the Dream did this, or if Patrick Clark did this, then yeah, it sucks. And he needs to be held accountable. But as we've all said, innocent until proven guilty is the way that our system of law and order works at the moment. So that's the way it needs to be. I remember going to an NXT house show out in Bakersfield and watching Patrick Clark come out to not the same music or this actual gimmick name, but very much a Velveteen Dream-esque presentation. And my dad kind of wasn't sure about it, and my brother kind of similar look, and I said, watch. He's gonna be the guy in NXT in about 5 years or so. He's gonna blow shit up. Here we are 5 years later. Will he win the title Wednesday? I would like to think so, but I also know that WWE is very much a where'd the chat go? There it is. A PC conscious company, and I think they'll err on the side of caution.
Yeah. Now, Greg, somebody said Enzo got fired. Well, Enzo lied to WWE and could have told them what was going on. I mean, that's why he got fired, even though he ended up being innocent. Greg, do you have something to add to that?
I do, and quite frankly, I'm going to I know this discussion is in, but I'm going to get real for a second. A lot of you might remember that my Twitter and my wife's Twitter both got hacked last year.
Right.
Prior to deactivating my account, I had noticed that whoever hacked my account had sent some nasty DMs to a bunch of people.
Oh, jeez.
Sexually graphic DMs. And I'm getting choked up talking about this because it's put me in a dark place. Because I'm like, whoever's doing this could like possibly ruin my life somehow.
Right.
So it's one of those things that whoever does something like this, and like we said, if he actually did do this, then he deserves everything that's coming to him. But if somebody poses as somebody else and puts it out there that this ruined this guy's life and he had nothing to do with it, then shame on that person.
They should be found accountable if they get caught and prosecuted.
Yeah, exactly. And it's one of those things where, you know, you shouldn't go through something like this to ruin somebody's life. And I can only imagine, like, if some of these similar DMs were going through my wife's account. I don't know. We both just, like, completely wiped them. But it's just the fact of the matter.
Yep.
Nobody needs to go through that. And it's a hard thing. A lot of people don't understand because they see these, like, happening to women. And yes, it is terrible when it happens to them when they're being sexually harassed. I'm not saying anything even remotely defending those people. But to the men who are falsely accused of this, those people don't realize how that could affect their livelihood or anything in the future. That's all I have to say.
Yeah, no, well said. Thank you for sharing that because you didn't have to. And yeah, people that get caught that do shit like that, they should get in trouble, very serious trouble, because that's BS. Aaron, there's probably, I don't know if there's more super chats or not, but also your take on the Velveteen Dream.
Yeah.
He denied the accusations, and there's been no new information about it since. Therefore,
Yep.
I really have no further comment on it. I think that if there was some serious evidence regarding this, WWE would not have announced this match. I think they would have just pulled Dream from TV and not done
That's a
anything
good point.
with him. The fact that
True.
they're moving forward with this match leads me to believe that they are confident that this is not going to blow up any further, and what's out there is out there, and it's just going to die down unless something else comes out about it. Hopefully that doesn't happen. As we've all talked about, Dream is arguably the most entertaining personality on the NXT brand, maybe the entire WWE brand. And I think if this stuff did not come out, that he very well could have been booked to win the title next week. I'm feeling like it's not going to happen in case something does come out. WWE may decide to hold off on that. But I think it's time. Like, he's been part of NXT for a while, and if he's not going to the main roster, I think the next step is for him to win the title. He could feud with Johnny Gargano. Gargano's a heel now. There's a lot of options for Velveteen Dream as a heel. And Ken Terminated by Google sent in a $5 super chat, says, Greg Cherry, I am irate hearing your story. I was also upset that the YouTube idiots cut your live stream early. I hope to see you this Sunday, champ.
Yeah, that's the plan. Sorry for bringing the mood down, guys. I just figure I had to get that out.
I think he means irate as in irate. He hated the people that did that to you. You're like, you know what I mean? Shame on them. I'm thinking that's what Ken meant.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
And regarding what happened with the stream, so Greg did his live stream on the NoDQ channel over the weekend, and you had your nephew on, right?
Correct.
Yeah, and the video got pulled for community violations, which I'm not sure if it has something to do with a kid being on a video.
It has to be.
I feel like it was just flagged automatically without an actual human being doing it, because a couple of hours later the video was back up. So that was very bizarre, and I think Greg's just gonna stick to him being on the live streams. So you guys make sure you check out Greg's stuff. Jeff?
Do you, like I, have your videos flagged that they're not intended for under 18 audience?
Well, this is the first time I've ever had anything like this happen as far as a video being flagged.
Well, I'm asking because when YouTube or Google, whoever, changed their policies a year ago, whatever it was, you had to say that your video is intended for viewers and or not marketed to kids, or whatever the case may be. So there's a whole freaking guideline system now. So I just want to make sure that maybe having the kid on your live stream, they went boop, 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 boop. So
Yep.
Who knows? I mean, it's so annoying. And what's frustrating is that before the COVID stuff happened, it's virtually impossible to get a hold of somebody from YouTube. Like they have like no technical support. And now it's even worse. They even have a little disclaimer saying, because of COVID-19, we have less people on staff, which I find interesting because when it comes to YouTube, people can work at home. So
on the computer, right?
like, what the hell?
yeah,
So,
yeah.
And Google's always making money. It's not like they were shut down from this.
Yeah, the only company that has said that is exclusively based online that I understand why is Amazon, because they still have to have people in the warehouses actually moving things. So
Now,
I get that.
We got to be careful here because I think YouTube somehow, they have a system where they can also transcribe the entire video. So if they transcribe this video and there's negative comments about YouTube, this might get pulled.
YouTube and Google are awesome. I
Yeah,
love
we
Android.
love them. YouTube is
Hooray,
great. Thank
YouTube.
you, Google.
YouTube.
Best in
Well,
the world.
that wraps up the show. I know when we go around and do our plugs, sometimes we get more super chats, but this is a very trying time to be a wrestling fan. Just the way that the product is presented, no fans. It's hard sometimes. The last couple of weeks has been hard to put these shows together and what we're going to talk about because it's just the buzz is not there like it normally is. So we thank the NoDQ Galaxy that watches this religiously, that super chats, the people that watch it on demand later. And so thank you, because these are tough to do right now because we just don't have as much material to talk about. WrestleMania kind of gave us some stuff because it was history making. But so thank you, NoDQ Galaxy. But let's go around the horn. Greg Cherry, I will start with you.
New episode of Wrestling Trivia Challenge drops tomorrow, 6 p.m. Eastern, on the Greg Cherry Brand YouTube channel. Go to Twitter, Instagram, both Greg Cherry Brand. Buy a shirt. I could really use the help. Teespring.com/store/Greg Cherry Brand. And also, if you guys wouldn't mind, on Twitter, could you do me a favor and get the hashtag Cherry for Quizzlemania trending? Because I want to be on Quizzlemania. I want to challenge Sean Ross Sapp for that championship. And I believe it could take he's some guy from Fightful. Yeah,
Okay.
But anyway, I think it could take not only myself, but NoDQ as a whole to another level, being on that show. So if anybody could take down Mr. Sapp, it's the Pensen.
All right. The Wrestling Challenge. Well, I always mess that up. The Wrestling Trivia Challenge champion. WTC. I can remember those letters.
There you go.
Former champ himself right there, Jeff Meacham.
And the host. Let's not forget that.
That's right. You're a host now.
Who can't count? YouTube.com/Jeff Meacham. You can find my shows, Talk Wrestling, and Monday is the return of Dad's on Wrestling with the Renegade Wrestling JJ Williams. This week's show is not going to be a wrestling show. It's going to be a top 11. Yes, we're ranking all of the live action Star Wars movies in order because, well, we like Star Wars, and I know Aaron doesn't like Star Wars, which is why we never done his channel. But we figured, it'll be the dads, not always on wrestling. So, it'll be
Dude,
that.
when you do the Halloween, did you do the Halloween movies yet or anything like that?
I have not. Trust me.
I am on there. I want to be on there. I'm requesting a spot.
We're actually going to do a top franchises in a few weeks. So I will definitely throw Halloween into that mix because I do like the franchise. And then when we do just the top Halloween movies, you're on there, brother.
Thank you. Well, thank you, Jeff. Did you get all your plugs in?
Twitter and Instagram _Jeff Meacham and buy a shirt. Teespring.com/store/Jeff-Meacham-network. Okay. I gotta do Greg and just freaking rebrand everything. It's pissing me off. I got too much shit. Okay.
Back to Eric.
Big G sent in a $5 super chat saying, "Here's to an awesome show." Thank you, Big
right.
G.
Thank you, Big G. That's it.
We appreciate it very much. We appreciate you. Everyone follow him at NoDQ_Big G on Twitter, of course. And you guys see the handles. Make sure you follow everybody. Show them some love. pick up some shirts. And it looks like John Schlosser just sent in another super chat. Let's see what he had to say here when it pulls up. Here it comes. John says, do you think Jeff Meacham should have returned? I think he's just meant Jeff Hardy, not Jeff Meacham.
I think he meant Jeff Hardy. Yeah.
Jeff Hardy.
Hey, if Vince wants to let me in the building, I will fight for that briefcase.
Yeah.
You better swanton bomb, or else I'm gonna be pissed.
Well, no, because the idea of me climbing a ladder and doing anything other than climbing the hell back down as quick as I possibly can is a frightening prospect.
If you climbed the ladder and got to the top, then you would win automatically. You wouldn't have to grab anything.
Yeah, if my fat ass can get to the top of the ladder and not fall down out of fright, give me the briefcase and just send me home, please. Seriously.
I say keep Jeff away until he can come out with a crowd, because I want to hear the crowd pop to no more words when he returns.
Yes.
Let Jeff rest up until it's time to do the live crowds again. And Colin Andrew, the Cleaver, with a $5 super chat says, cheers to NoDQ. Cheers to you, Colin. Thank you very much.
Aftermatch on NoDQ on YouTube. The Aftermatch guys on NoDQ I keep saying NoDQ. The Aftermatch guys on YouTube. Tremendous channel. Great stuff.
Absolutely. Oh, and there was a comment here for Greg, and so Darren said, hey, Aaron, did you tell Greg about my super chat about doing the Undisputed Era theme? Oh yeah, that's right. So I will super chat any one of the three of you here, Greg, Jeff, or Virtue, if you guys will do the Undisputed Era dance on camera right now.
Oh,
are we talking Kyle O'Reilly or who? Which one?
I forgot who he said. I think Greg is going to take it up.
Take it away, Greg.
Greg might as well do
this is all you, Greg. Make sure you got enough room.
Hold on.
I think he's going to do it, folks. Greg is going to dance on camera.
Yeah, drop me back and back. You see it. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Now hold on. Now Nick Glavin.
Which one? Is it Cole? Is it O'Reilly?
You got to do all of them to make them happy.
All of them.
Nick Glavin with a $5.49 super chat says, great show. Looking forward to the trivia challenge. We thank you very much for that, Nick.
Thank you for watching. We appreciate it, Nick.
And Adrian with a $5 super chat says, 5 more minutes, talk forever. All right, well, Greg's going to get up right now, and he's going to do Undisputed Era. So go ahead, Greg.
I did this on you know what? If I do this on my live stream for a spin of the wheel, if you watch it and I do an entrance, I do the full bit with the music, but I don't want Aaron to get like a copyright strike.
This is a preview of what Greg will do on his own live stream. So here we go. All right, God, Greg, Jeff, could you hum the song, or do you want me to do it?
I can do it. Yeah.
Hey, Greg, make sure you have pants on.
I do have pants on.
It'll be so off key, anyways. I don't think the copyright system will pick up on it. So go ahead, Jeff.
Shock the system. Boom!
There you go. Dude, that better not get copyright.
I'm going to send Greg that $5 super chat, Darren.
Can I get a 5 for my efforts?
I'll tell you, I'll send it. I'm gonna send all 3 guys $5 super chats, and Virtue just for being a great moderator.
I did a little baseline there. I just for a minute.
Appreciate it.
Well, thank you. All right, Aaron Rift, anything else you want to add before I close this up?
Well, we got a 5 more minutes request, so we got to come up with a topic here. Let's talk about the last spot for the Money in the Bank. Will it be Jinder Mahal? What do you guys think? I think it very well could be Jinder being added to the Money in the Bank. It's the last chance gauntlet match for Money in the Bank. So, Virtue, what do you think? Who's going to be that last spot? Who would you like to see?
I was in Chicago and chanted, "This is awesome, fight forever" for Roman and Jinder. Jinder's back, and he has a chance to at least maybe eventually this year get one shot against Drew McIntyre, even though he'll probably job out. So Jinder Mahal, baby, you know it.
All right, Jeff.
I would have to agree. I mean, Jinder has the hot hand right now. He's the hot topic of wrestling right now, WWE right now. Why not throw him in there? I would.
And Greg.
I mean, I might as well make it a trio. Say Jinder Mahal. And you know what? It's because Corbin's the only other heel in there right now.
Right.
So you need at least one more heel, so make it be Jinder.
Yeah, good point there. Somebody mentioned Brock Lesnar. I don't think he's crossing the border right now to do WWE shows. I just don't think that's going to happen, even though WWE is technically an essential business.
Could it be anybody up from NXT?
That would be cool. But
I mean, I guess it could.
Yeah, I don't know. But anyways, that's all I got. NoDQ.com. Stay informed with everything that's going on and check out the live streams. Check out everybody's Twitter accounts. Show them some love and support. And, of course, I'll be back tomorrow night to talk about SmackDown. And that's about it. Virtue, let's go ahead and wrap this bad boy up.
Follow me on Twitter at NoDQ_Virtue. Go to my Facebook page, NoDQ.com/Virtue. That's pretty much it. This is awesome. I love doing these shows each and every Thursday, live at 7 p.m. Eastern. We'll be back next week. So for Aaron Rift, for Jeff Meacham, and for Greg Cherry, I am Virtue, and we will see you next time.